Yo, what it do, Sensei crew? It's Anime Sensei here, and I'm gonna be doing What If Naruto Was Uchiha, and I got a little title for it, The Black Phantom. What if Naruto was an Uchiha? Yeah, that's what I'm gonna call this. And this is part three. If you're new to this, I won't be doing a recap, as if you want to know that, you'll have to check out the last video. But I will mention that this takes about 2 weeks after Naruto returns, as also road to 200 subscribers. Hopefully, we can make it to that. But let's get straight into it. As this takes place about 2 weeks after Naruto has returned from the Hidden Sand Village, as Naruto's walking throughout the village, as he was thinking to himself about some jutsu he could learn, as suddenly Naruto thought about Rook, whom he had not seen in quite a while, actually, as he was on his way to go see Rook, as he thought it would be a good idea since it's been a minute. He had actually seen both Kakashi and Might Guy training, as something had intrigued him specifically. Kakashi's eye. As Naruto was well aware of the fact of Kakashi having the Sharingan, he did not know about this new one, as this obviously wasn't the three Tomo from what Naruto's seen. As suddenly, as he looks at them, kind of spying on them for a little bit, as suddenly they had realized and says, "Come out." As suddenly Naruto replies saying, alright. And to be fair, you and the other Johnny have spied on me before when I was training, so I think we're even. With Kakashi sweat dropping saying, fair enough. As Naruto had pointed at his eyes saying, "What's that?" With Kakashi replying saying, "Well, this is something called the EMS, an advanced stage of the Sharingan, a stage that most Uchiha did not unlock, as you would have to go through, well, some type of trauma, losing someone really important to you." As Naruto hears this, he suddenly thinks, "That's a terrible eye. I think I'm good with my three tomorrow." As Naruto goes off, as suddenly he had arrived at the library, suddenly he had seen an ambulance, as he was honestly surprised and wondering what was going on, as he had ran to the library saying, "Look! Look, what's going on?" As suddenly, two people who seemed to be a nurse and the people who carry away the ambulance. As suddenly Naruto says, "Where's Rook at? Where is he?" With the two saying, "Unfortunately, Rook had passed." As Naruto, suddenly a tear had dropped from his face. As the two people weren't that surprised, as they actually had known Rook, as they were the doctors who had treated him whenever he came in for his visits. As well, Rook actually, I forgot to mention this, Rook is actually kind of old, somewhere between his 60s to 80s. As suddenly Naruto says, "How? How? Who did this?" As suddenly the ambulance goes off, taking Rook, as Naruto is left by himself in the library. As tears pour down from his face, suddenly he says repeatedly, "Wow, I should have visited more. If only I was here, I could have stopped this." Suddenly, as his eyes start to change, as well, Naruto's EMS is gonna look he's gonna have two different ones. One's gonna look like this, while the other's gonna look like this. As well, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's my fault, y'all. Anyway, as suddenly both Kakashi and Might Guy had arrived to the scene, looking in Naruto's eyes, saying, He has the Mangekyo Sharingan." Suddenly Naruto looks up at both of them with his new eyes, and he says, "I don't give a crap about these eyes. Rook's gone, and I wasn't here to save him. If only I were here," Naruto says as he runs off. As he's in the forest, suddenly he thinks, "I know just who could be behind this. It has to be someone who had beef with Brook," as Naruto has a flashback to about 2 months ago, as there was some ninja of sorts who had came into the library asking for the book with uchiha, aka, well, the book that has the history of the uchiha and the jutsu. As Rook had said, sorry, I can't give you that book as it's top secret and only Uchiha members can use it since, well, there's not that many of them. I cannot give this book to you. Suddenly, Naruto had snapped back to reality as he says, it was him. As suddenly Naruto knew where he could find him, as he was actually someone visiting from the Cloud Village and was supposed to leave today. As Naruto looks at the time, this was around the time he was supposed to leave. As Naruto had jumped tree from tree, going as fast as he could. As he was near the gate of the village, as suddenly he had seen the figure with two others. As suddenly Naruto did the shadow clone jutsu, creating two clones, telling one of them to go after the other while going after the other one. As Naruto said, leave him for me. I will deal with him personally. As well, clone number one had swooped in, chopping, well, the first ninja, knocking him out. As well, clone number two had managed to teleport behind the other ninja, stabbing him in his back as he had started to bleed away. As Naruto says, strike time, in a menacing voice. As suddenly he appears in front of the ninja, punching him in the stomach, sending him flying into the air. As Naruto had teleported above him, saying, you're gonna die for this! As Naruto had done something similar to a volleyball fist, sending him flying back into the ground. As he had coughed up blood, saying, please have some mercy. Mercy, I have a family. As Naruto says, did you have mercy for Rook? Did you have mercy for him? When you killed him mercilessly? As suddenly, before the man could say anything, suddenly Naruto had fired off a Firestyle Majestic Destroyer Flame, disintegrating him, leaving him nothing but ashes. As Naruto's eyes had finally deactivated, leaving him almost out of chakra. As well, he could see Anbu were coming. Suddenly, he had fled back to his house. As suddenly, he heard a voice calling out to him. But it wasn't a human, but something of a ghostly figure, as it seemed to look like Rook. As suddenly, Rook pats Naruto on his back, saying, it's okay, Naruto, but listen, you can't do that. Listen, I know he might not have given you mercy, and he wasn't the best of men, but listen, like he said, he had a family. Just think about it. You had taken someone else's family away. Sure, he might have taken my life, but are you any better to take away his? As suddenly Naruto thinks back to what he had done, with a tear coming out of his eye. As Rook starts to fade away, suddenly Naruto gives him a final hug, saying, I'm glad I avenged you, Rook, but you're right. I'll do better. I'll change this village. Not just this village, the ninja world, Naruto says, as if it was a promise. As Rook had faded away. As Naruto suddenly says, I can't even really see. As his vision was starting to get blurry. As Naruto had thought back on the letter Shishui had gave him a few years ago, with those eyes that he had kept in the cabinet, which was in a jar. As Naruto says, guess it's time. As he had made it to the cabinet, saying, so how am I going to do this? As suddenly he pulls out both of his eyeballs while placing in his new ones, aka the ones Shishui had given him. As he had actually passed out from this, about a few hours later he had woken up to, well, Anbu and the Hokage himself knocking at his front door. As Naruto had woken up from his sleep, suddenly he says, oh no, they must be here to get rid of me. They're probably planning to banish me. As he could overhear the Anbu and the Hokage conversating, as apparently the Hokage had suggested the idea, as Danza, who happened to be alone, actually thought it would be a good idea As at first he had wanted Naruto on the route, but decided that getting rid of the brat would be better. As Naruto suddenly says to himself, I must leave now before they break in here. As suddenly he gets a bag, packing both clothes as well what Naruto currently looks like. Think of the ninja pants that Sasuke had in the fourth grade Shinobi wore, all black, as he has something of a hoodie, which is about, I'm gonna say, black, as he wears mostly all black all the time. As Naruto had packed mostly stuff like that, a hoodie, ninja pants, and some socks and sandals. As there was different recolors, so it wasn't necessarily just the same thing. As Naruto had finally packed his bag, all ready and done, as he says, time to go. As he had used the body flicker jutsu, teleporting right in front of the village gate. As Naruto suddenly says, you know, I'm really not gonna miss this village, as he thinks to himself while saying that. As he's getting ready to leave out, as it seems to be about, I'm gonna say 3 o'clock in the morning, as most people are asleep at this time. As suddenly, before he can exit out the village, suddenly he hears a voice call out to him, Naruto. As he looks back, he sees Hinata Hyuga, someone he didn't necessarily mind, didn't really like her nor hate her. As this was someone he had often seen at the academy. And she says, Naruto, you have to stay back. Where are you even going? As Naruto replies back saying, why should I tell you? It's none of your business. Why are you even up at this time of night? As Hinata starts to stutter, saying, listen, that's not important. The real question is, why are you leaving? What's that bad for? Why are you even leaving? What happened? Naruto says, you know, I necessarily didn't hate you nor dislike you, but you're starting to get nerves. As Hinata says, I'm not gonna let you live. I don't care what you say. As she prepared to strike him, as Naruto didn't feel like the fight, he suddenly appeared behind her, neck chopping her, while muttering these words into her ear. Better luck next. As she had passed out, as Naruto had picked her up while putting her on a bench, saying, time to start a new journey. As he had walked out the village gate. As I forgot to mention it, I'm gonna do a scene with this actually instead of just telling you all. As Naruto was somewhere in the forest while exiting out of Konoha, he had seen Konohamaru. As Konohamaru seemed to be getting kidnapped by two hidden cloud ninja and a hidden stone ninja, as they seem to be teaming up to kidnap Konohamaru. As they speak to each other, saying, this is going to be great. If we kidnap the Saratobi, this will be perfect. I mean, we could have a bounty. Not even a bounty. We could have a ransom and get the money that we want. As Naruto looked at them, he could see that they were rogue ninja, as they had slashes in their hands. As Konohamaru, at this point, had a scar on his eye. As Naruto looked and see that they had beaten him up a little bit, Naruto realizes that he needs to help Konohamaru, regardless of the matter. As suddenly, Naruto teleports behind one of the ninja, knocking him out, while the other two jump back in surprise. As Naruto charges at one of them, hitting them with a barrage of kicks as he sends him into the air. Suddenly, he sends him even farther in the air, saying, time to die! Fire style! Fireball jutsu! He yells out, as it goes flying into the air, disintegrating the man. As Naruto looks at the last person, suddenly he takes a kunai while speed blitzing him, cutting him in half. As Konohamaru had witnessed the scene, he was surprised at this power that Naruto was capable of. As at first he had thought Naruto was going to hurt him, as he had remembered all the moments him and Naruto had, and realized that he wasn't going to hurt him, and was mostly here to save him. As Naruto unties Konohamaru, saying, what should I do with you? as he ponders to himself, saying, I can't go back into the village for obvious reasons. As he finally makes up his mind, saying, Alright then, I'll take you with me. As Konohamaru looks up at Naruto, saying, Boss? What's going on? Why are you even leaving the village? As Naruto says, I'll explain it all later, Konohamaru. Let's go. As Naruto and Konohamaru walk for a few hours, suddenly they find a camp spot. As Naruto had done fire-style fireball jutsu to make a campfire for both him and Konohamaru. As Naruto says, Konohamaru, I plan to train you. That's the plan for now, just in case. Because if you're going to stay with me, you're going to need to know how to defend yourself. As Naruto says, besides, you never know what can happen. Just like that incident right there, let's say one day I'm never here. Who knows what could happen to you? As Konohamaru thinks to himself, saying, Boss is right. I need to get stronger. And suddenly, he takes out the fist, prompting Naruto to fist bump him as he says, I'll train as hard as I can to become the best I can. As Naruto says, that's my student. As this is where I'm going to be leaving it off. As I hope you guys enjoyed. Anime Sensei out also. Remember, road to 200. Let's hope we get there. But, peace, y'all. Expect another video today.